Hi all, I think it's important to remember that Grandmasters are just human, and as humans we can all blunder and make mistakes, so even the highest rated Grandmasters. In this game I'd like to show you, which occurred in the Norway chess tournament 2014 in round 3, Alexander Grischuk was playing against Levon Aronian, and we have a very interesting position here, which Levon apparently had done some research just the week before on very similar opening sequences. I may have misremembered something here. In this position after h4, Levon played knight d7, and here white plays an incredible move, bishop d3. You might think, well, is this so incredible? Well, let's see what happens. e4 is played, and this might be considered a slight mistake. In order to punish this effectively, it's important for white to now play h5. On queen e2, for example, knight c5, and this could be quite good for black, potentially. After bishop c2, black seems to be okay, and in fact is structurally better, of course. The knight sits very nicely in front of the doubled pawns, Nimzovich would approve. But okay, in this position white played a forcing move, h5, and here engines instantly see a potential trouble move on what was played, and actually suggest the queen should flee here to either a6 or b6 or d6. That's the engine's suggestion, and we're going to find out why now. Levon played queen f5, and there's absolutely super powerful move here, which I'm hoping you haven't seen this game, so I'm going to test you. You might want to pause the video in this position, so I'll give you 10 seconds to pause the video and find out what white played starting from now. Okay, an astonishing resource. Ruling out queen e2 again, knight c5 is still good in this position. Protecting the pawn, hitting the bishop, it's still good. No, what was played here was an absolutely remarkable resource which exists. The move was rook h4, hitting the pawn again, and you might think, well, why can't the pawn take the bishop? Let's have a look. E takes d3, and I hope you've spotted it. What does white play in this position? I hope you've guessed it, rook f4, and the queen is trapped. It really hasn't got any squares. A remarkably powerful move, rook h4. So Levon must have misremembered some preparation here. Another interesting aspect of this whole thing is also what was considered by Grischuk, who was also trying to remember the variation and was briefly checking in this position. Another remarkable idea which kind of backfires dramatically. He was checking out bishop takes e4, which you might think is totally crazy, but the idea after queen takes e4, which backfires completely and utterly, is to play the move king d2. This concept has some merit. For example, black could play the disastrous queen g4 to try and get out of rook e1, which would skewer the queen to the king. If queen g4, rook e1 check, this is much better for white. The black king is stranded in the center. On bishop e7, this is fantastic news for white, this sort of position. It's absolutely winning, plus 21 or more according to engines. Horrible threat here. Black's on the verge of getting mated unless black gives up material. For example, g6, we can just mate like this. And after knight f8, rook takes. So that would be a total disaster. The amusing thing about this king d2 is black can, as cool as a cucumber, play a fantastic refutation here against rook e1. I wonder if you can spot it from black's perspective. What would you play here with black if I gave you 10 seconds starting from now? Okay, the remarkable refutation of this fantastic concept for king d2 and rook e1 is actually knight b6. They say sometimes the best form of defense is attack, and that's the case here. Instead of trying to defend necessarily the queen, we see that after rook e1, black actually can now play knight takes c4 check. The king has only one move, and the amusing bishop a3. I think Grischuk was very wise to avoid this concept of bishop takes e4 and preferring instead h5. It was a friend of his apparently that gave him the whole opening construction up to this point, but he had to work this out to make sure from this position how to play this. So wisely ruling out bishop takes e4, this h5 instead. You might ask, was black actually okay after queen a6? Structurally, black is okay and is even hitting c4 here, but white has a lead in development. If these double pawns are dissolved, white sits very well here. It is better overall for white, and the engine even suggests sacking a pawn here is in order with a move like bishop d3. So either taking on d5 or taking on c3 leaves white with a strong initiative. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that little game fragment. After winning the queen, the game did last a few more moves. It went like this for those interested, but it was really decided. This is a huge advantage to white, and it didn't last that long, but the game was really decided after winning the queen. White never really let go. So at move 40 here, after bishop d4, black actually resigned. An amazing thing that can happen even at the Grandmaster level, it seems, is misremembering stuff, and even in stuff prepared just a week before. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.